Hey, friend, welcome to the Next Gen Matters podcast, a show for ministry leaders seeking to move beyond overwhelm and move into leading with clarity, confidence, and consistency. If you've listened to my previous episodes on the Next Gen Matters podcast, you do realize that I have been married for 40 plus years, that I have a wonderful wife named Janet K. Brown, and I thought today would be a great chance to have you get to meet her. You know, we're moving into more of I'm going to be having a co-host and bringing in different guests, subject matter experts on the things of children's and youth ministry. But I thought for my very first guest, why not bring in the love of my life, who is a professional all in her own. The lovely Dr. Janet K. Brown is in the house.
Well, thank you for having me on the very first podcast. I feel really honored.
Well, the very first interviewing podcast. Yeah,
exactly. Yes.
So I got some questions for Janet so y'all can get to know her on the kind of the personal side. Your hometown?
Niles, Michigan. Not everyone knows where Niles is,
Nope.
but it's right on the border of South Bend, Indiana, and then Niles, Michigan. So if you're familiar with Notre Dame, it's probably 10 minutes from Notre Dame. So that's where I was born.
Yeah, your home, your house growing up was only a quarter of the mile from the state line.
Right.
So when we lived there for a number of years earlier in our marriage, and the shopping was in South Bend, but our church was in Michigan. So go figure. Your favorite vacation destination?
Oof, wow. We've gone a lot of places, but 2 years ago, we were able to go to Italy. It was amazing. I was able also to go to Maui that same year, and that was also very, very amazing. However, Italy by far is my favorite.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Notice she said we went to Italy, but she went to Hawaii because she led a team of about 12 to 15 students and faculty that she oversees at her university position to do some relief work over there. So I stayed home with the dogs. Your favorite dish to cook and then to eat?
To cook. I really enjoy, I enjoy cooking salmon with some roasted potatoes, steamed broccoli, a salad, and even homemade sourdough bread, which sounds great. I typically eat plant-based. So I would eat that broccoli. I would have a little bit of that sourdough bread as well, some of those roasted potatoes. But that is a great meal for me to make for when we're serving other people.
She's been doing a plant-based diet for about 2 years. So either I surrender or starve. I've gone with the third option.
What?
It's
cereal.
Cheap Aldi cereal. So I've lost weight. Anyway.
Cereal with a C. Yeah.
What are some of your favorite activities?
I love walking and I love hanging out with our grandkids. That is just so fun. Any kind of activity that we can do with them. I love just playing with them.
Some of your favorite artists, musicians.
Sure.
What's your jam?
I love a combination of pop but especially worship music is my favorite. It's my all-time go, but also like a spa type music if I just need to relax. I also like skillet. So I have kind of a varied sense of music styles.
She's genres. A panhead as well. So yes. Vocationally, what do you do?
Vocationally, I am a professor for family and child development. I'm also, and so that's in higher education at Liberty University. I also am a department chair of family and consumer sciences. I serve in those roles. And so I get to see students that come through our programs that desire to make a difference in many, many career fields.
See, I have mentioned on previous podcasts what you do, but now they can actually hear it from you to know I wasn't just lying.
Right. No,
she's really here, y'all, which is what she does. Now, I know how passionate you are about what you teach. Not all the meetings you have to go to. You're probably in more meetings than you are in the classroom.
Yes.
But true that, if you're a chair. But when it comes to your vocation, what delights your heart? I know what does because you tell me, but tell our listener.
Right.
What delights your heart?
I am an educator that loves to empower my students. And so I want to educate in order for them to be built up, equipped, and empowered to go out and change their world, specifically when it comes to working with people. And so I'm training people helpers in whatever capacity that they're going to go in. And whether that's with children, whether it's with the preborn, the unborn, the young, the early childhood or the adolescence or the aging population or working with parents. I want to empower them to make a difference.
And we're going to loop back to that by the end of the
Mm-hmm.
podcast, but you certainly do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to focus now on do the deeper dive. We're going to turn the conversation to family. And one of my ministry heroes from way back when I started out, literally in 1985, he's still with us. His name's Ron Hutchcraft.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the OGs of contemporary youth ministry, worked with Youth for Christ for, decades. And Ron would say this phrase about family ministry, and he would say the phrase family one and family two.
Mm-hmm.
And every semester, Janet brings me into one of her classes on, which was the
development of contemporary families. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I do my little one-off pitch on preparing for marriage. And of course, I do a throwback to Princess Bride and say marriage. And most of the girls actually know what I'm talking about, which means most of today's college students do understand Princess Bride. There is still hope for America, people. All right. Anyway, so all that to say, I'll even drop this into her classroom to say family one, which is family of origin, and family two. That's the family you choose, AKA your spouse, and eventually your children. Of course, you don't choose your children. God chooses them for you. But you know what I'm saying. Family one, origin. Family two, this is the one you marry and the children that you bring into this world or you adopt into your family. So we're going to go backwards. Instead of starting with family one, I'm going to drop us now into family two. I say this because there's 12 of us now with our two in-laws as well as our 5 grandkids. So before there was the 5, before there was the 12, there was the 5. But let's talk about the 12.
Okay.
Talk about your 12. By the way, I'm shooting this right now in the end of January of 2026. The Seattle Seahawks are going to the Super Bowl. So when I say 12, if you follow football, you know what I'm talking about. That's the fan base of the Hawks. No, we're talking about the 12 in our family. Go ahead,
right.
Jay.
So it was really neat. I'll just say, you see when you hang those Christmas stockings up, we have 12 of them now. And it just is a reflection of how many lives that are in our family when we're all together. And so we have 5 grandkids, all under the age of 6. So we have 6 years down to 6 months. And so that's quite a few grandchildren and hopefully more to come. That is no pressure. It just is our arms are open for any more. But it's so neat to see.
Sorry, it sounds like a Creed song.
No, but it's so neat to see all the grandkids come over and then their parents. And I love it because it's not just our own children, our adult children, our 2 boys and our daughter, but also their spouses. And so our daughter-in-law and our son-in-law, they are amazing. They are just part of the family. There's not really an in-law thing there. We are just, we've just brought them right in and they've brought us in. So having that and seeing the dynamics that we have in our family is really, really special. Sometimes I think this is how it should be for all families, and I wish that it could be, but I know it's not. But I just feel like this is truly by God's grace.
In our quiet times, we both do we're listening through the Bible with YouVersion, as well as Terry Lee Cobb will follow her Bible recap, and then I'm also doing the chronological Bible by reading it. So we both have just walked through the stories of Jacob. What a messed up family. Oh my goodness.
All of them.
And today in my reading, pardon me, in my listening was what you would have been this morning as well, was when Joseph, reveals himself to his 10 brothers, actually 11, because at that point, his younger brother Benjamin was there. And the family rivalries and just could you imagine that family text thread? And I'm just I'm with you, hon. I'm just so blessed that our kids actually like each other. At this current time, we're snowed in, like much of the country. And it's not the snow as much as the ice is capped over all the snow, so it's not going anywhere. And we're staying at 10 degrees, which means it's kind of like I grew up in New York and you in Michigan. Right. This is kind of like our old school, winter weather. But we were teasing around. The family was all going to gather together previous to the storm so we could get snowed in together. That would have really challenged to see our love for each other.
It would have challenged us, but to know that they wanted to do
that. But they did. Yes.
And want to be together really is is just a testament to their love for each other and the bond that we have, which is great.
They're all like they're best friends.
Mhm.
I mean, it's been so cool because that wasn't that way when they were younger.
Mhm.
Oh, those testing and challenging times of a 940 square foot home with 3 kids. But I look at it now and I'm just so grateful. And every morning, and if you're watching on YouTube, this is my office. This is where I work. This is where I have my quiet time. This is where I pray every morning over my family.
Mhm.
And I'm just so blessed for that. So, hon, before there was 5, there was 2.
Mhm.
What do you think about that?
Right.
40 years.
We have been together over 40 years, and so we celebrate our 40th last July, which was
Mhm.
really great. But we were also together before that time. But
Well, we dated. We weren't living
we
together. You got to
dated.
clean that up because of
But we
today's
knew each
culture.
other, and so pretty much our lives from college all the way till now has been us. While
Mhm.
we dated other people, there wasn't that many before each other. We really have spent so many seasons together. We've gone through so many different things
yeah.
together, and so that's been very, very special as well. So it really does get sweeter. And
Mhm.
I think our temperaments, our personalities, but also our love for the Lord and just what we do, we've learned how to honor one another. And it's not, again, these are things that
Mhm.
you continue to grow in, but it's been just so good. It really
Well, I
has.
see with our kids, they champion each other,
Hmm.
and I see
Mhm.
that with you and I. I mean, for the majority of our
Mhm.
marriage,
Mhm.
it was kind of I was the one on the stage, in the church world, and then
Mhm.
teaching at Liberty for so long, and then things have really reversed,
Mhm.
where you're the one now. God has honored and blessed you, and I champion you.
Mhm.
And so when we're together in town around here,
Mhm.
I hear from somebody around me, Dr. Brown, Dr. Brown. They're not looking at me anymore because these current students don't know me.
Right.
They know her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just am so honored that God has elevated you to be an influencer, just not for academia, but for his kingdom's
Mhm.
sake. And I'm just so grateful for that.
Mhm.
So yeah, we got it. You and I met in college.
Mhm.
Matter of fact, our first day was her 20th birthday. So
Mhm.
that's from the time she was 20 and on, I'm the only one she's ever dated. Cha-ching. Okay.
There you go.
So we met, right?
Yeah.
You're sophomore, my junior year, but before family 2 was family 1. Describe your family dynamic and your own personal experience with Jesus Christ.
Mhm. So my family, I grew up, like I said, in Michigan. I had both parents intact, so they both married, which is a blessing.
Mhm.
My mom and dad loved me so much, and I know that
Mhm.
they showed their love in different ways. But I also had two siblings as I was growing up who were much older than I. And so I had a brother that was 10 years older than me and a sister that was 13 years older than me. My parents did not know the Lord. My brother did not as well, but my sister did. So that was a different combination for me. And so I didn't really know much about the Lord until I had a friend that came and asked me if I wanted to go to
Then how
church.
old are you at that point?
I was 7.
Okay. So
And
like first,
so
second grade?
second
Okay.
grade. So was able to go to a local church there and went with them, and we rode the bus because that was just during that time frame. And
This was the
so
1970s, back in the days
Mhm.
of the bus
Yeah,
ministry.
which is really neat because that was something that was just very common then.
Mhm.
And so it wasn't unusual, it was common. And so going around picking up kids to go to church, it was very common. And so I went, and it was during the time that I was going to church there that I actually heard the gospel. And I prayed to receive Christ when I was 7 years old. So, and I remember that. I remember so much of that I really longed to know Jesus. And I was able to see through my Sunday school teachers and different things like that, the love for the Lord.
Mm. And this is where this conversation is going to
Hmm.
continue to go down to a deeper and deeper
Hmm.
level, because so many children in our churches and then even teenagers in our student ministries are like where you were.
Hmm.
Their parents are good people. They're hardworking. They pay their taxes, blah, 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 but they don't have Christ.
Hmm.
The presence of Christ is in their home through their child, through the student, but not in their own lives. So it's your story is not very dissimilar from what we're seeing today. Because when I've shared your story speaking in different churches and places of ministry, I will have so many adolescents walk up to me and go, man, my story is kind of like your wife's story. So that's the reason we're going down this road right now in this conversation. So next question I have, I think about this even with our family one differences. While I'm going to church, as a preacher's kid, my parents are driving me to church. I'm listening and watching my dad preach. Your story is entirely different regarding church.
Right. Yeah, I would get up and they would, especially with the bus ministry, they would come around on Saturday to see if they can pick you up the next day. So I knew that ride would be there for me. The individual that invited me to church ended up not continuing to go to church, but I still did. And so when those Saturday visitations came, I would say, yes, I'll be on the bus tomorrow. And so they would stop by and pick me up.
Right.
I had the approval of my parents to go. It's just that they did not go. My mom had gone to church before that, but then kind of years before that. And I went with her when I was very little, but that was just something that she didn't continue as well. And so it was my choice to get up in the morning and to go and get on the bus and go to church.
And you did that from that second grade through
16.
Yeah. And then you started driving yourself.
Until I drove, pretty much so.
Wow. You also had a number of adults in the church that I realized, because I got to know them later, that never sought to replace your parents as parents, but they truly played a role in your life. Give us that story.
Yeah, I have different ones. One specifically, the bus driver, he and his family, but especially for him, because he would be the one that was faithfully driving the bus. There was another bus driver and his wife as well. They ended up being, she was one of my teachers in a Christian school later on, but he also would drive. So they would take turns driving and picking me up. But obviously I wasn't the only one on the bus, but those are the ones that were families that I saw that they really did care. And they had a real compassion to reach those that needed to go to church, which is great, because it's not even really about going to church. It's really about sharing the gospel, right? And so there was a deeper level. In fact, then even while I was at church and during the junior high years, I was able to have connections made by student leaders, which was really neat as well. So there were several different families. Typically it was couples, and maybe one of the couple, like one person of the couplehood was stronger in their faith than another. It was that I got to see families going to church, which is really neat.
And I'll drop the name, Dave. Dave Ernsberger was the bus driver. And I say his name because this is a real person. And this is just not a story. Here's a real guy, blue collar guy, living in South Bend, Indiana, got his day job, but he just volunteers to be the bus driver. Which, if you know Michigan weather, kind of like my New York weather. And by the way, when I was a teenager, I helped with our bus ministry. So I was up as a kind of a junior bus captain, they used to call us. This is such the 70s.
Yeah, I did that too.
But it was legit.
Right.
Our church grew because we reached out into the old school way of highways and byways, compelling them to come in. So I remember being on the other end of it, not having any idea my future wife was on us. Dude, this is crazy. It was on a bus 500 plus miles away in Michigan.
Right.
My future wife as an adolescent, when I'm an adolescent, helping on the bus ministry, 7 a.m., Burr, it's cold, the bus won't start. We got to get it going, go pick up these kids.
Yeah, and I was a bus captain per se, or helper as well.
See, that's where you became a leader.
I know. So it was that Father Abraham song, and singing while we were in the bus. I mean, those were moments, right? And those moments matter. And that's the thing. It's like, these are the moments that matter in our lives, right? So so Dave Ernsberger, we have Blair and Sherry Connect, the Firths later on, and then also just some others that really just leaned in and was such a role models for me.
I do mention Dave's name because the cool story is you play out. And this is where we're going with this. We don't know the seeds we're sharing or seeds we're sowing in me, and the depth, Galatians 6, the depth of how God's going to take those seeds in a young person's life. Dave's little kids at that point, as they became teenagers, years later, Jan and I both served. I was the youth pastor in her home church in the mid to later 80s.
Right.
So now I'm getting to know these people, and I'm
Mhm.
thanking them so much for the role they had in your life, hon.
Right.
Dave's kids are now in
Right.
ministry.
Yes.
Dave's grandkids are
Mhm.
actually both the kids are here at Liberty right
Yes.
now
Yeah.
pursuing ministry.
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
that's a gift.
It is a gift. That's 3 generations for their family, and they impacted me
That's
as
a
well.
win, man.
So, and then we were able to give back in the other way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are the stories that you
Yeah.
can't write. So that's why I'm like, moments matter, but these stories are going to unfold, right?
Your passion is for families
Mm.
because it's amazing how God has allowed you to step into your professorship, if you will, in the academic world of being, first of all, an instructor, then an assistant, then an associate professor in family and child development. And I know your passion for the family. And what I think about is, as you look back on your journey, my mind goes right up to Joseph, literally what I heard this morning. What you meant for evil, in his sovereignty, God used. God meant for
Right.
good, for the saving of many lives. And
Right.
that's a principle that is said throughout the scripture that I wish we could all see and understand when it looks like we're given a bad hand, we're dealt a bad, well, wait, do we really believe in God's sovereignty? God placed you in that home. God saved you in the midst of that home. But now looking back, babe, your passion for families now, take us
Absolutely.
back. And
Right.
do you see, is there like a thread there?
Oh, absolutely. And I share that commonality all the way through. But from that ministry point, it was really the gospel that saved me, right? So Jesus who saved me. So I heard the gospel and he saved me. But then also it's the Holy Spirit that works in our lives. And when I was 16, I would start listening to Dr. James Dobson, which he is now with the Lord. But at that time, it was those little radios that you'd have sitting next to
Oil clock radios with blinking lights?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And I would
I remember
turn
those.
on the Christian radio station and I would listen to Dr. Dobson. There was other fabulous people that were speakers such as Chuck Swindoll.
Oh, the OGs,
and
John
yeah,
MacArthur.
yeah, but I would listen to Chuck Swindoll, and I would always listen to Dr. James Dobson because the messages that he shared really were gospel inspired, but it was really about the family. And I wanted to know, what did it look like to be a whole person in a family, and what did the healthy family look like? It's not that my parents did not love me, it's just that they could not show me that of a spiritual nature of what a spiritual mom and dad could look like, nor was it something that they could model in other areas as well. And so that is something that really resonated with me, and I learned so much, and just how he communicated and the different things that people that he brought in. It's like, I really want to know more on what this looks like, and I want to help people in this field as well.
And you also got involved in a local revival ministry,
I did.
which would travel nationally,
Right.
and their emphasis was on
the family,
godly families.
godly families, and then also just revival in our nation, right? So that was also another layer of having different mentors through that, being able to really seek out the Lord, and then also having mentors. My dear friend Karen, her family, but her dad and mom were really great mentors for me as well.
Absolutely.
And her dad would really speak on just walking in the Spirit. And I think at that level, especially at age 18, so I was a senior in high school, hearing and seeing what it looked like to be filled with the Spirit, walking in the Spirit, and allowing where this other person in the Trinity was not pushed over to the side, but that we have the Word of God, we have Jesus, we have the Father, and then we have the Holy Spirit. And to see what that really looked like and have revival set in my heart and set the tone. And so that's where, during that time, I didn't know what I was going to do after high school. But then the Lord he orchestrated me being able to talk to someone about going to this college down in Virginia. I had never been to Virginia, never been out of Michigan, really. And so I thought, I want to go. I didn't know what that was going to look like. I did have some friends from my school that was going, because I was at a Christian school my last 2 years. But that again was one more one more shift in the trajectory for my life. And so I didn't know what that was going to look like. But in June, before that August came, I decided to go to a Christian college. And so that again was another moment that mattered in my life.
And I'm so glad your parents agreed.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord obviously allowed that to take place, because a year from then, hey, baby, got to meet you, girlfriend.
That's right.
Hun, I want you to give some encouragement. We have many listeners who are in children's ministry, many who are in student ministry. We think of adolescent ministries and even young adult ministries. What encouragement could you give to them? Because I want them to understand I'll use the word Janets, okay? There are some Janets in their ministries that they may think, and you may think, listener, that that's the kid, that's the student that has 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Let me define it first. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Yeah, their parents don't really attend here. They come, but sometimes they can't come. They can't find a ride, etc. And we may not think they're fully engaged because they're not, I'm air quotes, they're not a church kid, or they're not one of the staff kids. And I do know, I have seen it, that we as youth workers and the staff persons, even volunteers, we can kind of lean into playing our favorites, being those who are the staff kids, the church kids, the ones who are always there. And unfortunately, sometimes who gets left out are the ones we think are only 1 foot in because their parents don't attend. Maybe they don't come all the time because, again, maybe they're needing a ride. Give some encouragement
Right.
there.
Yeah. Well, and there was a time during my growing up years that I did kind of wane away from coming to church because I was trying to figure out my identity, and also even with school age kids, things like that. But even during that time, so I knew I was saved, so the Lord kept me, right? And he never gave up. And so I think that would be the thing, is like, never give up. Don't ever think that what you're doing doesn't matter. And that's really important, because especially with children, most children aren't going to write notes and say thank you. They're not going to even probably say thank you unless they have really good manners and etiquette. Most children you'll see in the nonverbal behavior rather than the verbal sometimes. Just because they want to come and you see them light up their eyes, you see them involved. Biggest thing is let them know that you care and that you keep showing up for them, and they will show up. Keep showing up for them. It was those knocks on the door that really allowed me to know that those individuals cared for me, right? And so that speaks well to children, because that consistency is so important. We know that as parents, that consistency is very, very important when it comes to parenting. Well, same thing with ministry, right? Consistently, always showing up, always being there. Now, of course, we can't be there at 2:00 in the morning we're not going to go into their homes and live there with them, but you be there as much as God is doing that, and really lean into the Lord and ask him, how can I make a difference? Because each one of us have different personalities and different things that we strive for. Then with the student ministry, those that are a little bit older, the same, right? Be there, lean into them. When they get scary, and they will, when those teenagers get scary, they have the attitude, they blow you off or whatever, don't take that as a personal attack on you. Take it and say, I wonder what else is going on. Lean into them rather than sitting back, right? Lean into those students. It's going to be really important, because most people will run from them. Most people will shun them. Most people will walk away and say, well, they'll figure it out. And then we leave the peers to talk to them. And that's not going to be good. So we have to lean into them. So as adults in the room, as spiritual mentors, lean into them and make those moments matter.
As my wife and I were walking through this last evening, I mentioned to her a story that I do remember her sharing with me when we were dating. And she talked about going, K through 10th grade in public school, and your church had a Christian school. And even as a teenager going into the youth ministry, you told me then, you said last night, I forgot about this. Well, I didn't, because it really impacted me as a youth major, early 20-something, preparing to be a youth pastor. Also my background, being the pastor's kid, always being in the in crowd, in the in circle. to hear the storyline from someone who wasn't in the circle really hit me hard. And you said to me, how many years ago? Over 40, right?
Mm-hmm.
To say that until it took you to then transfer into the Christian school
Mm-hmm.
at the local church where you finally felt like your peers now accepted you, like you were not in the in circle.
Mm-hmm.
And as a 21-year-old, when I heard that, it actually grieved me because I realized I was that same person in New York when this young lady was in Michigan. I was the one on the inside because the people in my Christian school, in my church, we were the in crowd. For those who went to that other school, the public school, we didn't think they really fit in with us. And God smacked me in the head with conviction of like, when I become a youth pastor, I will never settle for the cool kids, the in kids, that I'm going to make sure everyone is at the table. So Jan, you said you forgot about that. That impacted me, that you told me that radically impacted and shaped me as a pre-youth pastor while I was still in college. So anyway, hey, here's our call to action. Children's leader, youth leader, young adult leader. I want you to think about this. As you consider your circle, whether it's a small table, children's ministry on Sunday mornings, maybe it's you're leading a small group, your circle, or even the larger group if you're on the stage. Think about every person there and think of them as that seed. Galatians 6, sowing and reaping. God has placed them in your life. You are not only giving them the seeds of the Word of God, they are like seeds who are going to grow up. We don't know what will happen to each one of those seeds. I want you to recognize the God-given potential, not the cultural way of speaking of potential. It's all about you. I'm saying it's all about Him. Christ in you, the hope of glory. It's about Jesus, what He can do in His radical transformation and power that He brings to someone's life. I want you to think right now, who right now in your ministry you think maybe only has 1 foot in and maybe 1 foot out. They don't come from a Christian home. They don't attend the right school like we talked about, or they just, for whatever reason, you think maybe they're not really on the inside. Well, then what can we do? Here's the challenge. What can we do to change that? So here's my 3 simple call to actions. 1, right now, identify who they are. As you're listening to this podcast, my buddy Matt just texted this morning. Hey, Doc, he said, I'm shoveling snow right now, and he's in West Virginia. He goes, I'm listening to the podcasts from last week. Whether you're shoveling snow or wherever you're at right now hearing this, I want you to stop and in your mind go, yeah, that's Shelly. Yeah, that's Marcus. I want you to start thinking through who are the students that just don't necessarily feel like they're both feet in. Maybe their parents aren't part of your church. Then what I want you to do is what Janet just talked about. Reach out to them this week. In some way, in some tangible, tactile way, either you reach out or ask their small group leader, somebody, an adult, reach out to them. Show gratitude, express your gratitude for them and how you value them being a part of your team and your ministry. And then, like Janet also said, take a very special interest in them. Not transactional, hey, we like you if you come to church. I think the worst thing we can say, honey, when somebody returns after 2 months of being gone, where have you been? Dude, you just slapped them down, bro. I never say that. Even the other day as a volunteer, one of our guys came back after 3 or 4 months. I didn't say, man, where have you been? I said, it is so good to see you. And how are you doing? All right. Share this episode with a volunteer. If you're on staff, I would highly encourage you to share this episode with your volunteers and then talk through it. Okay, what's our SOP? What's our operating procedure that we can set up in place to make sure everyone is feeling included? Now, if you got any ministry wins, I would love to hear about them. So email me, rich@nextgenmatters.com. That email link will be in the show notes. I also just not loving to hear those. I also like getting the comments below in the podcast, and I say send this to a friend. Because your experiences that you share with myself and even with others truly it's a shot in the arm. It's a good thing. It's a word of encouragement. So as we close this up, I want to thank you again for joining me today in the Next Gen Matters podcast. Remember, we don't know the plan that God has for all of these students. He does. So let's do our parts to elevate each one of them. Now, have you subscribed to this podcast? If you haven't, make sure you subscribe so when that notification comes in, you're ready to go. And also, I would love it. I'd greatly value if you could leave a review. And if you're not yet subscribed to our Next Gen Matters weekly email called Thursday Tools, please do so. And the link is below in the show notes.
Yeah, please make sure you subscribe to both of those. And make sure you open up the emails when you do subscribe and read those. Those are so good.
Because you read them.
I do.
She actually does. She goes, "Hey, babe, that was good." I go, "Thanks a lot, boss." I don't say that. But anyway, hey, one extra side note. Jen and I have done, and many times we will do together parenting workshops. So if you're in the need for, or you would value the two of us, the doctor and Dr. Janet Brown and Rich Brown coming in to just share with parents, to encourage them on what it means to partner well with your kids. We made a lot of mistakes and we've hopefully done some good things as well. So we just kind of come from the word and from our life and kind of share. So if that's something that would benefit your ministry, let me know as well. And we'd love to hear from you and even connect with you. So, hey, as we wrap this up, thank you so much for joining the Next Gen Matters podcast. Until next time, your leadership matters because your ministry matters because the gospel matters. Take care and have a great week.